The golden sun sank behind the hills of Redwood Valley, painting the wide fields in amber light. Amelia ran barefoot through the tall grass, her heart pounding harder than the pain in her swollen belly. Her breath came in short gasps as she clutched her stomach and pushed forward, tears mixing with dust on her cheeks. Behind her, the faint sound of shouting men echoed, voices from the farmhouse she had fled. For months she had been trapped there, treated like a burden, an outcast because she carried a child that wasn't wanted by her cruel husband. Tonight she chose freedom over fear. The wind whipped through her hair as if urging her on, and the sky above seemed to whisper hope with every fading ray of light. Her body trembled with exhaustion, but she couldn't stop, not now. She remembered the kind stranger she'd once met at the trading post, a cowboy named Luke. He had looked at her not with judgment, but with warmth. He'd said if she ever needed help, she should head west across the fields, where the mountains met the horizon. That's where he'd be. Those words echoed in her mind like a promise of salvation. The wheat brushed against her gown, the fabric torn and stained, yet her spirit refused to break. The baby inside her kicked faintly, as if reminding her that this fight wasn't just for her, it was for both of them. Every step felt like fire, but love, or perhaps the hope of it, gave her strength. As night crept closer, fireflies began to flicker around her path, guiding her toward the unknown. Miles away, Luke saddled his horse under the crimson sky. Something inside him stirred, a feeling he couldn't explain. Maybe it was fate, or maybe it was her. He rode hard through the plains, his eyes scanning the horizon. Then he saw her, a small figure stumbling through the wheat, fragile yet fierce. He spurred his horse faster, the ground thundering beneath him. When he reached her, she fell into his arms, trembling and breathless. "I couldn't stay," she whispered, tears streaming down her dirt-streaked face. Luke looked at her, his heart breaking at the sight of her pain, but burning with protectiveness. "You did the right thing," he said softly, lifting her gently onto his horse. "You're safe now. I promise." As they rode into the night, the moon rose above them like a guardian, silver light shimmering over the fields. For the first time in a long while, Amelia closed her eyes, not in fear but in peace. She didn't know where the road ahead would lead, but with him beside her, she finally believed she could begin again. The cold dawn spread over the valley as Amelia opened her eyes to the sound of crackling fire. She was wrapped in a warm blanket, resting against a fallen log near a small cabin. The scent of coffee and burning wood drifted through the morning air. For the first time in months, she felt safe. Luke stood nearby, feeding the fire, his hat low against the rising sun. When he turned and saw her awake, his eyes softened. "You're safe now, Amelia," he said gently. "No one will ever hurt you again." Tears welled up in her eyes, not from fear, but from relief. "They'll come looking," she whispered. Luke knelt beside her, his rough hands brushing her hair from her face. "Then they'll have to find me first," he said firmly. There was no hesitation in his voice, only quiet strength. That moment, she realized he wasn't just a cowboy, he was her shield, her peace and her chance at a new life. Days passed, and the cabin became their haven. Luke cared for her like she was the most precious soul on earth. He built her a rocking chair on the porch, cooked simple meals, and spoke softly when nightmares woke her in the night. As her time drew near, he stayed by her side, refusing to leave even for a moment. When the first cries of her baby echoed through the cabin, the sound broke through the walls of her old life. Amelia wept, holding her child close, and Luke stood behind her, his hand on her shoulder, his eyes glistening with pride. She looked up at him, smiling through her tears. "You saved me, Luke." He shook his head. "No, Amelia. You saved yourself. I just met you halfway." The days turned into weeks, and the valley began to bloom again. Word spread that the men who'd once hunted her had vanished into their own shadows, too afraid to step into the land protected by the cowboy everyone whispered about. Luke worked the fields with quiet strength, while Amelia watched from the porch, her baby nestled in her arms. Every sunset reminded her of that night, the escape, the fear, and the moment hope found her in the middle of the fields. One evening, as the sky turned gold, she walked to him, her heart full. "Luke," she said softly, "you once said I was safe, but now I'm home." He turned, took her hand and pulled her close. "And I'll never let go," he whispered. The wind carried their promise across the fields that had once witnessed her pain but now glowed with love and freedom. If you felt the power of love and courage in this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. More heart-touching cowboy love stories are waiting just for you. Subscribe now and be part of our story family.